Alright guys, in today's video we have two pieces of information that I want to take some time to go over. The first has to do with the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima trailer that we're actually going to be getting tomorrow night during the Game Awards, and how apparently it's going to be the longest trailer of the show. I do think this is pretty significant, and I just wanted to touch on it because I actually didn't learn about this until after I had already put out my Ghost of Tsushima video yesterday. But on top of that, we're going to be talking about PlayStation's Hermen Hulst, who is the head of Sony's first-party studios, and he talks about his commitment to strong first-party output on PlayStation 5, and I feel as though it's very important to go over this. You guys know, if you've been following the channel for a little while now, that I always pay very close attention to what these individuals have to say, these individuals who are in charge of these big decisions of which games get made, which games don't get made. And when you pay attention to this stuff and you listen closely to what they say, it gives you maybe a little bit of a glimpse into the future and at least sets you up so you know what to expect. So we're definitely going to be going over that. But starting here with Ghost of Tsushima, it turns out that the host and creator of the Video Game Awards, Geoff Keighley, revealed on Twitter yesterday that not only is Ghost of Tsushima going to show up at the Game Awards with a trailer, but that the trailer we're going to see is actually going to be the longest trailer of the show. I feel as though this is significant because what it tells me is that we can expect something big from Ghost of Tsushima. And the question I have is it going to be like a story trailer or kind of a hybrid trailer where it's a story trailer blended with a gameplay type trailer? Is it just going to be a gameplay trailer, or is it just going to be a gameplay demonstration? I don't know how likely it is that it's going to be some type of gameplay demonstration. I just don't see that being the place to do it, that being the Video Game Awards. I just can't imagine seeing like a 5 to 8 to 10 minute gameplay demonstration happening in the middle of the Game Awards. I just don't think that that makes sense. So I'm expecting a story / gameplay trailer where we're going to kind of see a mix of both. And I do also believe that we are going to get a release date. I know there are a lot of people who think that it's too early to get a release date, at least a concrete one, and I can see how you might feel that way, and I would fully expect that if Sony is planning to show more of Ghost of Tsushima at this point, we are going into 2020 in less than a month now, they have to at least have a release window. So if we don't get a concrete date, which I've been saying it and I'll continue to say it, I believe it's going to be September 18th, 2020. If we don't get that, I would say at the very minimum expect a release window, and that release window could end up being sometime in the last half of 2020. I would be absolutely shocked if we didn't get anything on a release date or a release window, but I would also be shocked if we find out it's actually coming in the first half of 2020. I don't think that's likely. I wouldn't expect that, but either way, I am incredibly excited to see this trailer, and I am going to be streaming the Video Game Awards here on my channel. So for anybody who's planning on watching it, if you want to come hang out with me, see my reactions to it. I was already planning on watching it, but now I'm definitely going to be tuned in the entire time because I do not want to miss this Ghost of Tsushima trailer, and I also really want to know who's going to win Game of the Year. So yeah, moving on from that, we're going to be discussing what Hermen Hulst had to say about PlayStation's first-party commitment going into PlayStation 5. It says here, the PlayStation 4 has seen some of the strongest games come out of Sony's first-party studios, from Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted 4: Thief's End, through to the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima, Dreams, and The Last of Us Part 2. Every studio manages to serve up something slightly different. What links them all together, however, is the fact that they're all incredible games, and according to the head of PlayStation's worldwide studios, Hermen Hulst, that sort of top-quality output will continue on next year's PlayStation 5. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, which highlights Hulst as one of the People of the Year, he says, "We are very committed to the types of games we've been making at Worldwide Studios for the last decade. Big, spectacular experiences with story and characters at the core. We will keep making these games because we love to make them." Hermen Hulst then goes on to claim that Sony is eager to bring a new generation of developers under its wing to create different experiences for a new generation of gamers. Now, this is a very significant quote. I really need to take some time here to highlight what exactly he's saying here. Obviously, he is letting us know, and this is important because he was just appointed very recently the head of Sony's worldwide studios. So I'm paying very close attention to what he's saying because this is essentially the first time we're hearing Hermen Hulst kind of talk about how he's approaching being in this position, what he hopes to do, what he hopes to achieve, and kind of, his overall focus when it comes to the games we're going to get from Sony's first-party studios. And it really makes me feel good to know that he's coming out here, and not only is he's aware of what makes Sony's games so great. I mean, surely he must be. He is, somebody who was responsible for Horizon Zero Dawn and the creation of that game, obviously. So he understands it's about story, it's about that narrative-driven experience, and he uses the words big and spectacular, which I would agree that, yes, part of these games and their success is just how big they are. We talk about it all the time. Big AAA games. There's just something about them that, AA, single A games and indie games just can't compare. It's nothing against those games, but they're just very different experiences. And I think that Sony has done a really great job this generation in ensuring that they have been having an extremely healthy output of big AAA games, specifically the single-player games. But something else he does say at the end here is how they're eager to bring on a new generation of developers for a new generation of gamers. And what this tells me is that Sony's also becoming more open to creating different experiences. We've talked at length on this channel about how Sony is going to be maybe getting involved in more multiplayer titles going into next generation, but Sony is very keen here, at least Hermen Hulst is, to reassure us that that's not going to come at the expense of what Sony is already well known for right now, which again, big AAA single-player story-driven experiences. And that's the most important thing here, because there's absolutely nothing wrong, in my opinion, with Sony wanting to do this. Something else we could also maybe gather from this is by him saying at the end there how they want to bring on new developers. Maybe that is a low-key way of him hinting that they will actually be acquiring more studios. We know that this is something Sony is open to. We just don't know how actively they're seeking it out. But I would expect that in the coming years we are going to learn about some more either studio acquisitions or studios that are created from the ground up. It just makes sense. We know that they're currently kind of expanding some of their bigger studios. We know that Guerrilla, for as big of a team as they are, that's where Hermen Hulst comes from. They have a second team right now that I believe it was rumored that they're working on a SOCOM game, and if not that, some type of Killzone game, but some type of multiplayer experience, while their other team, I guess you could call it the A team, is working on that next generation Horizon Zero Dawn 2, or Horizon 2, I think is what we should be calling it, experience. And so this is just great news to me. I love hearing this stuff. I love nothing more than to relay this information to other PlayStation fans and other gamers who have come to really love these experiences, to let you know that the person who is currently in charge in determining which games we're going to be getting for PlayStation 5 is well aware of what has driven PlayStation 4's success throughout this entire generation. He is well aware of what makes Sony's games great. I mean, knowing that this is the person who's responsible for Horizon Zero Dawn, and that kind of says it all, right? Like, we know his mentality. But I have to say that I am particularly excited, for as excited as I am about getting Horizon 2, about getting a God of War sequel, and sequels to all these games, as well as potential new IPs, I'm actually really excited to see what these different experiences for a new generation of gamers, what they end up being. Now, some people could maybe interpret that as a negative thing, like, what are they saying? That they're going to try to, make more Battle Royale, microtransaction-filled games? I mean, potentially. I wouldn't be that pessimistic about it. I mean, we know that Naughty Dog is working on a multiplayer experience right now. They are working on a multiplayer game. I have a good feeling it has something to do with The Last of Us. It'll be based in The Last of Us universe. I mean, maybe it's just me, but if we found out within a couple months after The Last of Us Part 2 comes out, maybe an announcement alongside PlayStation 5 at E3 or something like that, that Naughty Dog is working on a massive multiplayer Battle Royale experience based in The Last of Us' universe, I mean, people can get as upset with me as they want, but I'd be insanely excited for that, right? But even if it's just something completely different from that, I don't care what it ends up being. I'm just simply trying to say that for as excited as I am to know that we're going to be getting, and this is the most important part, that we're going to be getting more of these experiences that we've come to love on PlayStation 4 going into PlayStation 5. I am just as excited to see what other things Sony's planning on doing. I mean, if they're going to be doing things in the multiplayer space more and they're going to get more heavily involved in that, the only thing that I'm truly concerned about is how they approach it. You know, we don't need microtransactions. I mean, microtransactions are going to be in multiplayer games no matter what at this point going forward, but it's about how it's handled. It's about, if you're going to make a live service game, how are you handling it? There's a right way, there's a wrong way, there's a way that is good for the consumer, good for the gamer, and there's a way where it's just not. Now, I know some people are just totally against multiplayer experiences, but that might not necessarily be what he's talking about here. I mean, after all, he does say different experiences for a new generation of gamers. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be multiplayer. It could just be different types of games in general. But, you know, I'm a fan of both. I love single-player games as well as multiplayer experiences and unique experiences in general. So I think this is very good news. And, you know, tomorrow we're going to be getting a Ghost of Tsushima trailer. We're going to be going over that, obviously. Very excited about that. I'm also just incredibly excited about the future of PlayStation, what Hermen Hulst is saying here about his outlook when it comes to games and first-party output going into the PlayStation 5. So yeah, at this point, I'm going to ask you guys to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this Ghost of Tsushima trailer being the longest during the Video Game Awards. What do you expect to see? What do you hope to see? Do you think we're going to get a release date? Do you think we're going to see gameplay? And be sure to let me know your thoughts on what Hermen Hulst had to say here about going into next generation with the PlayStation 5 and his outlook on first party. I'm going to be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it, if you found it informative. It really helps it out, lets me know you guys enjoy the content. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.